99-cent rental.
This is 99 Cent Rental. I'm your host, Bryan White, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Dave. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Oh, hey, hello. I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you. Earlier today I was out for a walk and I was thinking about the Brady Bunch. And you remember the episode of the Brady Bunch where Bobby becomes obsessed with Jesse James?
I do. Remember that.
This is a later episode, but if you recall, the premise is that Carol and Mike are really upset because he's obsessed with this outlaw, and they go out in order to impress upon him that this is a bad person. They go out and they find a man whose father was killed by Jesse James, the notorious outlaw.
Yep.
Now, a couple of things about this. One is it is mind-blowing to me that they were so close in the timeline that they could be like, hey, remember this guy's dad was killed by Jesse James.
That is wild, right?
Iconic figure from 100 and God knows however many years ago. But I would like to know the origin of this because that is insanely specific to be like, I got an idea for a story, guys. Bobby's obsessed with this murderer, okay? Now, in order to impress upon him that murderers aren't cool in 1972, we're going to go out and find a victim's son, and he's going to come over to the house and tell that story to Bobby. What the hell?
Yeah, did you ever watch Arrested Development?
I did.
I cannot remember the name of the character, but he was the guy that whenever George Bluth wanted to teach the children a lesson, he would hire the guy who had lost his arm.
Yes.
And it's like that, where they don't see it coming, and then the guy gets his arm ripped off,
Yeah.
and then they're like, and that's why you always leave a note.
I don't even know what made me think of it, but I was just like, what?
First of all, it's very random. That is random. I do think
version.
I do have that I do have that weird thing where I do think of the Brady Bunch way more than you would think.
I think about it all the time.
Mostly what the fuck is up with this story?
I mean, a lot of hijinks. A lot of things happen to that family that don't happen to typical families.
No, but that's wild.
So yeah, that's,
They still hunting lesbians on the streets?
Well, I see there's new flyers up.
That's crazy.
So
That
I
is
haven't
crazy.
seen any
You got to get somebody. Next time you're out there, just grab somebody and be like, hey, do you have your phone on you?
and I just used a flip phone.
Just sacrifice their phone to see what's on the other end of that QR code.
I think it's probably a meetup.
It probably is. I am conflating this mystery in my mind.
I would like it to be something more nefarious. Maybe not though. Lesbians have had it hard enough.
This is true. They've been through enough already.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's hard to explain to somebody who never had the experience what a trip to the video store was like back in the day. The shelves were choked with absolutely bizarre crap made on tiny budgets, completely divorced from any recognizable reality, and it was the best. Now, we intend to talk about every one of them. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod. Dave's over there at that Queerwolf.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. We're good. We're good like that. We're fun. I encourage you to follow us if you do that sort of thing. If you don't know, we have another show called Bring Me the Axe, but you probably know that. Our latest episode covering Slumber Party Massacre with our friends Johnny and Tyler from That's Spooky is out now. We'll be back next week with a look at Lamberto Bava's Macabre.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, lady has sex with a dead person. Well, some of it.
With some of the dead person. Yep. You can also contact us directly at 99centrentalpod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a cheesy movie that you love and would like to hear us give it the business. And if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there, patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod. Do you think I'm spooky? We also have our monthly Bring Me the Axe Millennium Edition, which is a bonus episode in which we explore modern horror movie. Our current episode is Talk to Me with our friends Ash and Elena from Morbid. And coming right up around the corner, we got our infuriating look at the frustrating movie Lake Mungo. So you're not going to want to miss that one. We've also got my bi-weekly DJ show, Radio Free Haddonfield. Weeks from Do You Think I'm Spooky is off. Expect a surprising mixtape of everything from rock to disco to punk over there. All Patreon subscribers, even the free tier, get access to our Discord server as well. Paying members get access to additional channels, voice and video chat, the watch party option. We've been doing that last couple episodes. We've been watching the movie in the Discord channel ahead of the episode. So I encourage you to join. It's fun. Once again, it's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. Lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube now. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So do it.
Yeah, please.
What's the holdup? You know,
God.
we do so much for you. We expect so little.
One of us does a lot. And then the other one does a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor, give the episode a like and leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. And I just want to get all that out of the way right at the top of the show because, hey, Dave.
Yes.
Who's this over here?
Well, we have a guest, but not just any guest. He is he's a comedian. He is the co-host of God Awful Movies, The Scathing Atheist, Dear Old Dads, among others. And he, I believe, is the first, and I'm going to assume last magician I've ever met. It's Eli Bosnick.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Not to peel back the curtain too quickly, but I had to be there for the intro, and a podcaster not getting to talk about the Brady Bench was literal torture. That is a Geneva Convention violation. Because you have to understand, if you're listening to the show and you don't podcast, the rudest thing you can do in all of podcasting is sit there in silence. If you scream the names of your dead relatives, it is better than to sit there in silence. So I was like, maybe I should be talking. Should I be making jokes? I laughed. Those are funny. That was funny. I thought that was a very funny joke, Dad. I wanted to laugh at it. Also, hey, can I swear on your show?
You can swear like crazy because
you guys all but fuck your patrons, huh? Jesus Christ. And then tune in bi-weekly where I'll just spread my asshole as wide as you could possibly see it. I'll let you fit as many Rubik's Cubes inside my large intestine as you can fit in there every night at 9 a.m. Gee, I put out a monthly bonus episode and I'm like, you guys better let me jerk off in your car. And you motherfucker, Jesus.
Eli, we are all about value at Bring Me the Action 99-cent rental. Get with it. Get with the program, man.
Gotta lure him in somehow.
Now, look, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but have we talked about the fact that I worked at a video store?
We have not talked about that.
Not just a 99-cent rental. I worked at a Video King. And if you've never been at a Video King, it's a porn shop that keeps the latest Tom Cruise movie in the front of the building so that you can rent pornographic videos to the nasty boys and girls who want to see
I've
them.
never heard of this. Was this like a chain or was it like a local thing?
No chains for old Video. He was the only one.
He was the Video King after all.
He can be one Video King. It was the most bizarre 2 years of my life. To say that it changed me integrally as a person is an understatement. It is more the young man who walked into Video King who had never sold 22 tapes of piss porn at a time to an old lady in a habit.
You came like a year into this is basically you were like, there is no God, and this is like your origin story.
No, that was this is my atheism heel turn, was just working at the Video King the 9th time a guy bought a porn and I knew his daughter because we went to high school together.
Oh, no.
Oh, so I am good. And can I say, gentlemen, I watch bad movies for a living. I'm on episode 500 over at God Awful Movies. I thought I'd seen it all. People tell me, oh, I have a bad movie show. I get ready to watch The Room. I get ready to watch Sharknado. This gift right here. This is something fucking special.
When you emailed me back, I was like, oh, I've done it again. I fucking did it again.
I came so many times. If one of the moments in this movie was in any of the other movies I watched, it would be worth putting on my show. There's a moment in this movie every 11 seconds, as good as any bad movie in history.
A guy comes out and like literally crushes a dude's head, and you're like, well, it's not going to get any better than that. And then he uppercuts a guy so hard that his fist comes out his mouth.
Dude, the top of his head, it's great. And the special effects go from that's a fucking puppet all the way up to I genuinely don't know how it was done.
I know
it's phenomenal.
This is such a special movie, and like everybody,
thank you for this gift.
I am glad that I could provide you with that. This is because Dave had never seen this one either, and I had sort of assumed that you had for some reason. I don't know why. Even though like martial arts is not really your thing.
Yeah, no, this is not my wheelhouse. So I was very well when you put because you took most of the 99-cent rental movies for the schedule, and it's fine. But I was like, it's a lot of Asian martial art oriented films, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a lot of new stuff for me. And I knew about this mostly because it was the thing at the end of the Daily Show.
Yeah. So when Craig Kilborn was the host, he would do a thing at the end of
He said dating himself as he turned into a skeleton and blew away.
No!
Perhaps you remember the original Daily Show from 1989.
When I was in school and Craig Kilborn left and Jon Stewart was coming on, everybody was like, "Oh, it's over for the Daily Show.
He's never gonna make it work."
Right?
King of comedy, Craig Kilborn.
Right? Yeah. Whatever the fuck happened to that guy? But yeah. So he would have they would do their news shit, and then he would have a celebrity guest on. He would interview him, and then they would do this thing at the end called 5 questions, and it was just like 5 quick one-off questions that were supposed to be answered really quick, but it had this bumper that the moment I saw that, I was like, I have to see that movie. And of course, it's pre-internet. Well, not really. I had the internet at the time, but it was really, really hard to track.
You kids don't know what the internet was like. It was pre-fucking Google.
It was wild.
You could email another pervert pictures of you peeing. That's what you could do.
And in exchange, they would kill your wife.
Yes.
Yeah,
and everyone walks away scot-free.
Like in this modern age, you could like literally like ask fucking Chat GPT, like, what was the movie in 5 questions in the 90s, and it would tell you. But back then you had to like know another fucking weirdo on the internet who just happened to have that information. It took so long for me to track it down, and when I finally did, I was very heavily involved in like bootleg video trading, and I could not find a list that had that of any of my contacts who had this. And so I eventually went down to Chinatown in Boston, because there's like a bunch of grocery stores down there, and they all sold bootleg tapes. You could also get your PlayStation shipped.
Yeah, but they had Avengers back then. Like you could go in 1992 and they had Avengers on Blu-ray for some of the technology didn't exist, but they fucking had it.
Yeah, and I go in and I was looking for other movies. I was looking for like Chow Yun Fat movies, and I saw it was just called Story of Ricky, and I was like, I went up to the counter with it, and I was like, "Have you ever seen this?" And the guy was like, "No." But he looks at the spine, and he points at a little symbol on it, and he goes, "There's no subtitles, just so you know." And I was like,
it turns out this movie, you don't need them.
You don't need it. Well, because for a while I watched the movie and I was immediately obsessed with it. Like immediately. And I was like, boy, I wonder what this movie's about. And so like 10 years, it finally lands in American shores with the like dubbed version that like everybody is really familiar with now.
That's the one I watched.
And at the end of it, I was like, guess I didn't really need the dub. But what a movie. What a fucking movie.
What an incredible movie. And what a trip down memory. Like the bootleg tape scene was simultaneously the most dangerous, bizarre thing you had to participate in, and also like one of the most beautiful human experiences. So again, if you're under the age of 1,000 and you don't understand what we're talking about, what you would do is you would mail everyone you, and I can't emphasize this enough, did not know a list of all the movies you had. And then some pervert in Australia would be like, yeah, man, I'll take this one, this one, this one. You would mail them to him and he would mail them back 100% of the time. It never failed.
Not once was I ever burned. I made a bunch of like really very interesting pen pals this way. It was such a strange experience because literally also the reason that I'm a software developer these days is because I got tired of doing the email your little Word document to a friend out in, Germany. And it was just like, fuck it. I'm going to learn how to make a website. And I put it up there and I had my have list and I put my wants list on there. And I didn't have a terribly impressive collection because like it's really hard to get started in that sort of thing like back then. But I did have one tape. It was a Jess Franco movie called Female Vampire. And for
fucking phenomenal,
whatever reason, every fucking psychopath on earth wanted that one tape.
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you right there. It is a Jess Franco movie called Female Vampire, and for whatever reason, you can't think of a single reason.
Come on.
Get these days with your porn.
It's like 1996. Everybody has seen Lena Romay naked by this point. So like, what else could I possibly offer these people? But like to circle back to that Video King thing, I cannot tell you how many times people would be like, sure, I've got a second generation Cannibal Holocaust. It's the fully uncut version. Also, here's a bunch of like Swedish porn. Would you be interested in that? And I was like,
so that was always the thing is like, once you were in someone's graces, they sent you the second list and you were like, all right. Cause this is when everybody was homemade.
Now look, the second list, having that in your possession probably gets you on a list of some kind.
No, I was very emphatic. I was like, I'm not interested in that stuff. I'm not straight up porn. I just didn't really care. I didn't want to have those tapes. I didn't really care
because you aren't going to watch someone get murdered.
It's a weird, crazy lie you just told. But your whole audience. It's an insane lie.
You son of a bitch.
I don't have a beard, everybody.
but
I was too busy pleasuring the women I was with to watch any pornography. I guess just the screaming orgasms I was giving the women in my life.
But it was so easy. You didn't have to go out of your way. I just didn't want it in my collection. You could get that shit at the fucking video store. It didn't matter. But
not that shit. Not the shit on the list. Jump in, Bryan. The water's warm. You want to watch a girl put her toes up her nose, you got to get on the list.
But they would eventually throw stuff into the envelope. They'd be just like, yeah, here's another tape. Here's another movie I think you'd like. And I discovered a lot of really weird stuff that way too. But man, fucking good times. I'm glad you're familiar with this experience.
You end up with a video of Bud Dwyer shooting himself in the head.
I did.
I had it. I had it. The Bud Dwyer, and then everyone said they had Christine Chubbuck, and nobody did. Right? That was always the thing. You'd see, they'd be like, "I got Christine." You'd be like, "You don't fucking have Christine. You're a liar. You have that girl in Estonia shooting herself. That's not Christine." You know who has it? What's so funny? I guarantee you, some guy's going through his mom's old VHSs, right? Who just taped the news every day, and he's got the golden goose of, snuff video and just tossed it in the trash.
I told this story when we had Julia Marchese on it, and she's a big VHS person, and I was telling her when we first moved, like 20 something years ago, we moved into the place I'm into now. I had a gigantic video, like VHS collection. And DVD was the new thing. And so I didn't have space here. I couldn't take it with me. So I just threw them all in a box and I took the boxes down to the sort of dumpster, the place for where all the condos were. And I just left them there. And then a couple hours later, I went down with some more garbage to throw out and the boxes were gone. And some person in that neighborhood must have thought a serial killer lived in the neighborhood.
Right. Some beautiful soul. It's Scarecrow Video, man. Like, do you ever go to Scarecrow?
No, I've never been to Scarecrow.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you're listening to this podcast, you're one of two people. You're my mom. Mom, thanks so much for tuning into every podcast I've ever guested on. Or two, you're a VHS pervert like us. And if we have a mecca, it's Scarecrow Video. it's like 9 of them, right?
Yeah.
9 of those people with those lists were like, wait a second, I'm also in the Seattle area. And they started a video store and it still fucking exists.
I know. It is amazing that place persists like it does. One of these days I'm going to get out there. I've never been to that.
The stuff they have, man. It's the best stuff on everyone's list, the store.
Yeah.
Right, all the stuff you ever hoped for, they have on original Blu-ray. It's phenomenal.
I wanted for a really long time. I always wanted to go to Kim's video, but that ship is.
Oh, Kim! I grew up in NYU because I went to NYU,
awesome.
so I went to Kim's. That's how my collection started. So actually, a little behind the scenes here. So originally, I got started in bad movies because I was in one. And so I started looking for a DVD of the bad movie that I am in. And when I found it at Kim's, I was like, okay, I need more of these like grindhouse horror films. But yeah, if you've ever wanted to see me get crushed by a school scoreboard, the movie Prom Night, everybody, you can see baby 18-year-old Eli get crushed with a couple other kids under a scoreboard. I was paid $100.
That's great. Prom Night, you say?
Prom Night, yes.
The remake?
Well, since the original was 1980, yes.
No,
remake.
not the one 7 years before I was born. The one when I was in college. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's fucking fantastic. That's cool as hell. We're gonna be looking for you now.
Yeah, no, my pregnant mom's just walking in the, or not even pregnant. My hot mom, my 19-year-old mom is just walking through the background. I'm in prom.
It's just there in the disco slasher movie in Canada.
Gentlemen, I got to tell you, this must be what sports guys feel. I've never felt so seen. I've sucked a dick while having my dick sucked, and I've never felt as held in the light as I do here talking about being a VHS pervert with you, gentlemen.
Well,
today.
I'm so glad.
It is a remarkable experience because most of the time I get
to suck your dick while you get a dick sucked. I know that.
I won't get into that because my brother is on the podcast, but the other thing.
Why are you a coward? Your brother doesn't want you to be happy, Dan? Your brother wants you to be happy.
I will say I get a lot of like, why do you know so much about this? And I'm like, I don't know. Why aren't you also excited about this?
I know. If only I could monetize this somehow. Jesus Christ.
Yes, with a Patreon that fucking gives people 3 goatsies and 9 episodes a second.
All right, let's before we get too far afield, let's not get too deep in the weeds here because there's so much to fucking talk about this movie. Mm-hmm. Here's the 88 Films trailer for this one, just because it's in English, and the Hong Kong one is like 5 minutes long, and it's nothing but screaming and punch sound effects.
That's the movie.
Yeah,
it's like truth in advertising, I guess. Here we go.
Ricky Ho, 21 years old, sentenced to serve 10 years for manslaughter and assault.
Hey, I didn't say you could leave. He's carrying.
Why didn't you let the doctors take the 5 bullets out of you?
Souvenirs.
Ricky Ho disturbed the peace in this prison. That's why he has to be punished harshly. Yeah. Bastard, you're asking for it!
You talking to me?
Ricky, come on, show me what you've got.
right, so it turns out that that trailer is also a lot of screaming and punch sound effects. So
That trailer, first of all, why does Elon Musk come up on your recommended videos on YouTube?
because he is the future. Embrace it
You're
now.
a big Musk head. You're a big Musk
He's
fan.
an inescapable entity.
Oh, guys, look, I got a go. Oh, would you look at the time? It's my babies. God, that trailer. Can I say something great about that trailer? That trailer tells you everything great about the movie without ruining anything great about the movie.
Yeah.
It is the 3 seconds before all the greatest moments in that movie.
Yep. I do love the part where it starts to show the warden like transform, and it's like, wait a second, what is going on in this fucking movie?
Yeah.
It makes
That trailer might be the best movie if I hadn't seen this movie.
it makes
I mean,
a
it's
lot of
certainly
video
enticing.
games make sense. Like I understand why Resident Evil is the way that it is now because of this. Or Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, Mortal Kombat, the latest version takes that X-ray punch thing.
Oh, for sure.
Was like, I think they've even copped to it. They're like, oh yeah, we love Story of Ricky. Like, obviously. Was it M. Bison? Well, M. Bison is from, is his look was taken from a character in the later volumes of the manga. But like this Story of Ricky legacy's got like, it's got legs. It's been around, and it's just hasn't really touched American shores much beyond the movie. But
yeah, it's funny. I talked to a buddy because when you recommended this, you were like, "Oh, it's in the Criterion collection," and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking weird." And so I called my buddy who knows everything about movies because he got that good autism, and I was like, "Hey, man, why is this in the Criterion collection?" And he was basically like, "There are no martial art movies or media anywhere without the Story of Ricky." And I was like, damn. And he like went through this whole list of influences and all these people who like directly link their work to Story of Ricky.
that is a person I would like to have on this show, I think.
Yes, absolutely. You need him on the show. Now, will he make eye contact with you while you're on the show? Absolutely.
Well,
not.
lucky for
You
him,
don't need
lucky for
to.
him, most of the time we're just looking at our notes here, man. So,
Yes, exactly. There you go. Yeah, it's the perfect time.
yeah. So let's talk some facts here, shall we?
Okay.
All right. The year was 1991,
Yeah, heard of it.
year of our Lord. So here's some other Hong Kong movies that were released.
His name be praised.
Praise be to he.
And with you.
So Armor of God 2, Operation Condor came out in 1991. That was Jackie Chan.
Sure.
Yep. We've got Once a Thief, which is the John Woo movie with Chow Yun-fat, of course, because I don't
have
think
seen that.
John Woo made a movie without Chow Yun-fat. We've also got Once Upon a Time in China, which is Jet Li playing Wong Fei Hung. That one is really good.
Okay.
So good.
So good. We got Black Cat as well, which is not so good, but it's the Hong Kong remake of La Femme Nikita.
Yeah, very sexy film.
Yep.
Okay. I'm listening. I'm in.
And then we got Fight Back to School, which is an action comedy with Stephen Chow, and it was the highest grossing movie in Hong Kong of that year.
Now, to be fair, there are 37 people in Hong Kong. So
Yeah.
It's a mighty industry. They make so many goddamn.
Everyone gets their one building.
So the director is a guy named Lam Na Choi. And he, in my opinion, he's the only director to really take advantage of the Category 3 rating, which I'm going to talk about in just a little bit. Just a brief overview of what makes this movie so fucking special. Where most directors exploiting the new rating system simply sought to make movies about the triads or have Amy Yip undress, Lam made movie after movie that featured pronounced violence and nudity in movies like The Seventh Curse, which Vinegar Syndrome recently put out.
it's great.
It's fucking great. Saga of the Phoenix, and then somehow even crazier than Story of Ricky, a movie called The Cat.
I'm sorry. Wait now. No. Even crazier?
Okay, it's not as violent, but it's very, very strange. Because like in spite of it's
We're doing a 2-man DVD exchange where you just send me links to these things. I don't care when this podcast ends. I am your new one. I'll join the Patreon and I can email you twice a day.
I'll bring you to the Discord's free, man. You come in there and talk shit with us.
Nice.
So yeah, unfortunately, Lam Na Choi stops making movies in 1992, and I'm honestly not sure why.
Ran out of fake blood.
He must have been suddenly a deficit in Hong Kong.
Bought that one barrel.
He's just too exhausted. He cannot do it anymore.
I know. This was it. He just left it all on the dance floor with Story of Ricky. I looked and looked and looked. I could not find anything about why this guy stopped making movies. It's not like he was very old. It's not like he moved into other parts of the industry. He just kind of ceased to make movies. I don't know where he went. No.
Yeah, but you know what it is? I think he hopefully had the good sense to know when to roll the credits because
that's right. I was gonna say he's like do you guys know that one of the Spider-Man leads on Spider-Man Across the Universe like retired and he's like 36 and everyone was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm not gonna make a better movie." And I was like, "Fucking fair, my man. Good for you."
Legacy. Thinking about your legacy.
Backflip out on a high note, right? Because he doesn't want to make Mickey Mouse 11. Good for you,
no,
bud.
Otherwise, your journey touring in 2025 Nobody wants that.
Well, those shows still sell out,
especially not Journey.
Oh God, we gotta fucking play Separate Ways again.
The first concert I ever went to in my whole life, and one of the last, was Styx, the reunion tour when I was in high school. Okay. And if the members of the band had just come out and Bud Dwyer'd themselves, I would have been less horrified and sad than I was.
Yeah.
The Styx.
There's just like 100 guys in the front row going, "Don't stop believing." They're like, "We're gonna play another one, a new one."
You're not.
No, you're not,
Lady 95.
Our cast includes Fan Su Wong. He's probably best known for this movie, but also most recently as Jin Shan Su in the Ip Man movies with opposite Donnie Yen. Oh, those are so good.
Oh, they're so that's how my wife and I bonded. So we bonded over kung fu films. I actually love kung fu movies, not old school ones, new school ones. And so the first however many dates we went on, I was like, "You want to watch all the Ip Man movies?" And she was like, "I don't know. I don't really like martial arts." And I was like, "He does at one point fight Mike Tyson." And she was like, "You had me at he fights Mike Tyson."
That's awesome. Yeah. Many of his movies are very popular inside of Hong Kong, but apart from this and Ip Man, very few of them saw exposure in the West in the same way that like Jackie Chan and Chow Yun-fat's movies did. We've also got Fan Mei Sheng, who's the father of Fan Su Wong. And the longtime utility villain in martial arts movies. He fell in during the crucial 70s periods of Shaw Brothers movies, ending up in movies like Yuen Wo-ping's The Buddhist Fist and Magnificent Butcher. Yuen Wo-ping, in case you forgot, was the guy who did all the action choreography for The Matrix. His kung fu movies are really fucking good.
I will say he's in a movie called The Postman Strikes Back, which I have not seen, but the title suggests
the
something
title
great.
is alluring. I'm in based on the title alone. Yeah,
it's just about like a mailman who just whips ass.
Yep. Hey, that's good enough for me.
That's it. You had me. You had me at The Postman Strikes.
Yep. And then he's also in The Young Master with Jackie Chan, which is like one of Jackie's early ones, which is really fucking good.
That was when Jackie was just hurting himself for stunts. Like it wasn't even like we have a way to do this thing. He would just be like, I mean, I guess I just kind of walk across the fire, huh? I get kicked onto the fire and then I burn myself, but probably not forever or maybe forever.
Yeah, these days they're like, what do you mean you're not going to dislocate your shoulder?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
You guys know Jackie's a big gun nut?
Yeah, he's I guess he'd be like the sort of Hong Kong Republican.
Ah, Jesus.
Yeah. He's as close to a Republican as you can get without being evil. Like he's good on all the social issues and stuff, but
he's like Hong Kong libertarian.
Guns.
I know that.
And whenever they do like a Cribs with him or anything with an interview, he just ends up talking about how much he loves automatic weapons. It's insane.
That's pretty great.
He doesn't do it in English because he knows we don't like them, but like anytime he is on TV in China, he's like, "Guys, we gotta get machine guns on the streets again."
He's like, "Yeah, can't have a gun in Hong Kong, but Jackie Chan can."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then rounding it out, this cast is there's nobody who's like really in this unless you're like really into like martial arts movies or like Wu-Tang Clan. We've got Kwok Chun-fung, who's he plays a character named Andrew. He's the guy with the crazy saw blade sword who gets his face chopped by Oscar.
God, so good.
That's so good. It's a really, really small part, but again, if you're into kung fu movies or Wu-Tang Clan, he's pretty much like an immediately recognizable face. He's in Master of the Flying Guillotine, which rules. He's in
Such a good
He's in
one.
the Five Deadly Venoms. He's in Invincible Shaolin. If you like John Woo, he's the bad guy, Mad Dog, and Hard Boiled. He's also in a James Bond movie. He's in Tomorrow Never Dies. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So until 1988, Hong Kong's movie rating system was basically identical to America's, except that they just had two ratings, really. There was the category 1 and a category 2. And then in the 90s, they add like 2A and 2B to sort of like do the kind of PG-13 sort of thing. But like category 2 was like a hard PG rating movie. It's like category 1 is like G. Everybody can see them. Category 2, movies could be violent. They could be a little bloody. Like there's some Shaw Brothers movies, like Five Elements Ninja is a little gory, a little violent, but like not like this.
Sure.
But
nothing is like this.
Yeah.
Well, a movie called The Men Behind the Sun is like this. And it is the reason that the Hong Kong Film Office was like, oh shit, we need something a little harder. And so, 1988, guy named Mo Tun Fei, he makes this movie, The Men Behind the Sun, which is it's an exploitation movie first and foremost. But
So it's like, this is like their Jaws, where they were like, we just saw a little boy get eaten by a fish in a horrible, horrible way.
Right. And so this movie depicts the atrocities of Unit 731, which was, if you've never heard of it, it was a Japanese concentration camp during World War II in which scientists and medical staff performed heinous experimentation on like Manchurian prisoners, very similar to what the Nazis were doing. And it is unlike any horror movie ever released in Hong Kong up to this point. It is deeply upsetting. It is a really, really unpleasant film to watch. And it's just this guy is the guy who made it is just kind of like it was like a CCP fanatic, really, and he had a bone to pick with the Japanese, and so he made this like very dire anti-Japanese piece of propaganda.
Whoa. You're saying someone in China, a Chinese filmmaker, had an issue with the Japanese and therefore depicted them poorly in cinema?
Well, here's like you've seen
if they do it once.
Yeah, next you're going to tell me Koreans don't like them
Hold
either.
on. Not like this. Y'all have not seen this movie. All right. Rats, a shitload of rats eat a whole cat in this one. An actual child's corpse is autopsied in this movie. A dude.
Take me there,
a
Bryan.
dude gets,
Nope, don't, comma, and then continue. Wait, how did they get a child's corpse? I have questions.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I need you to know, Bryan. It's so important.
There's a scene where a guy in a hyperbaric chamber gets pressurized until his intestines explode out his butthole. That is the movie that we're dealing with here.
Good comic relief after the child's corpse. I get it.
And this is what you get when you're on a tape trading.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this one definitely came to me.
That was on
I
list.
was
Yeah,
like,
that was on
I was
list.
like, once I discovered like, oh, I can get Hong Kong movies, I started to look down lists and I was like, what's this Men Behind the Sun about? And then that one
you
came
watched
and I was
it and
like,
thought, what's wrong with the people in Hong Kong?
no, I was too
all
busy.
like
I was too
this?
busy crying in my closet. Like that was a
Yeah.
It's like when you see Salo for the first time and you're like, oh no, that man was famous? I think I understand why he was murdered.
right. Yeah. Right. So yeah, so this movie comes along and they're like, well, it's going to get released. So we need to let people know what they're getting into as they did this. So they come up with category 3.
Category 3, don't watch this movie.
was essentially
Very sexy movie.
That was the mess. But what ends up happening is it's like it's sort of like in Australia. Do you ever see Not Quite Hollywood, the movie about like Australian exploitation movies?
No.
So like in the 70s, there's this sort of like lifting of like the laws change about how you make movies, and all of a sudden there's this like rush of like trashy sexploitation movies. Movies suddenly get very violent. It was like that where they added this category 3 and like exploitation filmmakers fucking flock to it.
Sure.
But most of them are just making movies where they get the actress Amy Yip in there because she's just notorious for just being fine with nudity. And that's all it takes. And so there's all these movies that are essentially like Hong Kong sexploitation movies. For whatever reason, movies about the Tong and the triads also just immediately got a category 3 rating, despite, in spite of if they were violent or not, doesn't matter. And then a couple of movies come along that are pretty violent, and they're violent enough to get the category 3 rating. And then Lam Na Choi looks at it and goes, "You guys are fucking amateurs," and makes this movie.
I could do better.
Absolutely crazy. It's adapted from a manga that was written. They started it in 1986, and I think it concludes in either 91 or 93. I can't remember. There are 12 volumes of this. This movie covers just the first volume.
Hell yeah, it does. Yeah. So you're saying this is our Kickstarter launch to make the story of Ricky 2.
There is a story of Ricky 2. It is called Dint King. And I have never seen it. I don't know anybody who's ever seen it. It's got Fan Suong in it again as Ricky, but it's completely unrelated to the manga. As a matter of fact, he seems to find his way into another jail. I don't know.
It's where
but
he's
you
most
can't
comfortable.
Got to play the hits.
Yeah.
Got to play the hits.
I know. But you can read all 12 volumes translated by fans on manga decks. They're pretty good. Because this movie is almost a 1-to-1 adaptation of the manga.
Amazing.
Yep. And this story is called Garden of Beasts.
Oh,
amazing.
Yeah. So, Dave, I don't imagine
well, actually,
that there are really.
Matter of fact,
Did you find okay?
So, for anybody that's actually listening to this, he was going to ask me if I have reviews. I do. And then he was going to ask me, are they Chinese or Hong Kong? They are not. So this, as best I can tell, this movie got U.S. distribution in around 2002.
Yes, that is when the first, when I believe Media Blasters put it out for the very first time with subtitles and with a dub track.
Yep.
They were like Tiptoes and the story of Ricky. Now is the time.
And so they put this into some theaters. Not a lot of theaters, but into some theaters. People reacted differently. So, Los Angeles Times says, Ricky O is a primitive 1993. First of all, I think we should stop referring to people from other countries as primitive.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
It is a primitive 1993 prison movie based on a cartoon and starring muscular Fan Suong. The plot is just an excuse for one scene of blood and guts ultraviolence that is said to have made the film a cult classic. That's the entire review.
In 2002, imagine referring to something as a cult classic in 2002. That was pretty much just those people who drank the poison Kool-Aid and Ricky O.
Yeah, this is the equivalent of, she may as well just written, how dare you?
I know it's sort of
Times.
like some of those reviews of Sword of Vengeance that we did, where it was like all of them were tainted with a little bit of racism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I got another one here. This is from the Oregonian.
Oh.
A lot of gross and a lot of fun and a classic of its kind. Ricky O makes for a great post-Thanksgiving movie. It came out right after Thanksgiving.
That's very specific.
But you may...
It's a gut buster. I get it.
But you may not want to eat any leftovers after viewing this. Again, very short review, but they liked it.
That's great.
So some people, specifically the Oregonian, have a sense of humor, while other people, the Los Angeles Times, do not. That's it. That's all I got.
That's great. Oh, I'm glad you were able to turn up something.
And I really looked, too. I took a lot of time. I mean, I work in podcasting. I have a lot of time, but...
Right, exactly. What else were you going to do? Well, no, you got 19 episodes to release to the patrons and then the Discord and get those Rubik's Cubes out of Bryan.
Listen, that's for the secret hidden tier.
Yes. Fourth tier Patreon.
There's a price. There's a price. Hey, patrons, there's a price.
You just gotta ask. You just gotta discover it. Every man's got his price.
Keep raising your pledge until a JPEG hits your inbox. That's my advice to you.
And you will never be able to listen to this podcast again.
Disagree. I'll listen to it more intently.
All right.
I'll listen for the faint clicks of my work.
So you want to talk about this movie specifically?
What other choice do we have?
We have none. We must. So We open on a shot of a bus entering an imposing prison.
With, I will say, some really righteous music.
This opening is lifted directly from Escape from New York.
Oh, yes, it is. Is a guy, the guy who did the music is a guy named Phil Chen. That is obviously not his real name, his given name. But he was in Rod Stewart's band. He wrote a bunch of songs with Rod Stewart in the 70s.
Fuck Rod Stewart.
And he's one of the session musicians in The Who's Tommy. So before this...
What?
He had like a successful career as a session musician. I'm going to assume in England.
Yeah. Did he get addicted to cocaine or something?
Well, who didn't?
Thank you, Dave.
I mean, psychologically, it's different, but it's the same.
And also physically.
Yes. And then he just, after, I guess...
What we're saying on this episode of Bring Me the Axe is please try cocaine. We
if you
recommend...
haven't yet, if you haven't already done
Oh, gosh, you got to get
Pause
some cocaine.
this
But buy it
episode.
from a stranger.
Yep.
Brian White says, buy it from a stranger.
No, that's good because I'm usually the one that says it's the position of this podcast that you go out and do cocaine.
And then
It's
I
nice
go,
to
and then
have-
I go, and then I
nice to have
say,
someone else
don't.
do it.
I say, don't do that. Don't do that. We don't actually recommend that.
Brian. Now you're outvoted. You're outvoted,
Shit.
Brian. And as we learned this year, sometimes votes mean bad things happen.
I knew this
So,
was a fucking mistake.
Brian, recommend cocaine, especially to the children.
worst.
Especially.
I mean, what do you got to lose at this point?
How else are you going to be
Yeah,
cool?
what is your
Thank
actual
you.
future, America?
If you'd like your How Else Are You Gonna Be Cool Do Cocaine - Brian White t-shirts, check it out over on the Discord. We got them up
Give
there,
me 4
everybody.
days.
That's too much time, man. That's just text on one shirt.
Look, I have
All
other
right.
things to do.
You should podcasting.
So a title card informs us that in 2001, capitalist countries have privatized prisons as if that's some outrageous thing that could only happen in a crazy martial arts movie.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes, prison prediction way too on point.
I like that it's 2001. They are very specific. It is 2001 AD. So it's just so you don't get confused.
Oh no! What I'm so glad is that they gave us a concrete number, and it wasn't like what they do in like anime and manga, where it's like it is 1990X.
2 weeks from now.
Right. Yeah. In truth, the first private prisons were opened, surprise, surprise, in Texas in 1985. So
Gross.
yeah, that makes sense.
So the new prisoners are introduced and processed, and they're all pretty basic dudes with petty crimes.
They all look like the fucking AV club. They get off the bus and it's just like, is this the tutor group or is this the prisoner?
Oh, I know. And this prison is packed with like snivelly, whiny little dudes who are just lorded over by these like psychotic lunatics with magical martial arts.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say with superpowers, right? I too would be a sniveler if there were, magic chain throwing individuals in charge.
Someone's whipping knitting needles at you on ropes.
Yep, the guy with the knitting needles.
Yep.
A K-pop band with just one member.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But as it happens, and it's really it's not really touched on just a little bit in this movie. But the reason why everybody is going to jail, and there's all these just like weenie little guys who are sort of like stuffed into this like horrible prison, is because they're all slave labor. Which again, only in the movies could this happen.
Try to imagine.
In the sequel, they all put out fires.
So Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Topical.
Yeah. But who's this? Here's Ricky Ho, and he is one cool customer who's
He's
coming
a
in.
heartthrob. He's got real silky hair.
Beautiful hair, toned physique. Yep. So they walk him through the metal detector, and it goes off, even though he doesn't seem to have any metal on him. And then they run him up against an X-ray machine, and it's revealed that he has 5 bullets in his chest. He tells them that he left them in as souvenirs.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to just say for going forward, I watched the English dub of this because I was told it was very funny. Yeah, it was. And so I'm going to
It is.
reference
Yep.
the English language track a bunch of times because the dialogue is a chef's kiss. Just FYI.
Yeah, we watched it with the Cantonese track with subtitles, and I kind of regret doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. English dub's the way to go.
The dub is very, very funny.
It's the dub the movie deserves.
It really is. I am usually
It's the dub the viewer deserves.
I am a
too.
subtitle snob. I want that. I want that translation. I want it to be like authentic and shit. It just does not really help this movie at all. Like
Not for this. Not for you. Don't need to know their
Yeah,
vision.
it's like when you watch like Giallo and you're like, do I need to watch this in the original Italian? No, of course not. I'm going to be looking at my phone half the time anyway.
Right. So we learn that the prison is made up of 4 wings, and one for each direction, and each wing is run by a gang leader from the Gang of 4. And the prison is run by the warden and the assistant warden, whose name is Cyclops, but you're not worthy of meeting them yet. Also, the Gang of 4 in the manga are known as the 4 Heavenly Kings, which is very cool.
Apparently they were real.
yeah.
The Gang of 4 were like
the Gang of
real
4, yeah,
thing.
they were the sort of drivers of the Chinese Communist Party during the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah, they sound unpleasant.
And then after Mao dies in the 70s, they were all like rounded up and thrown in jail for like, I don't know, anti-party,
Crimes against
anti-communist.
humanity.
Like no. They were because the new direction the party was taking did not include their vision. And so they were rounded up for like anti-revolutionary activities and like thrown in prisons where presumably they died.
It's a complicated story.
Yeah. So now we cut to a big communal restroom. Everybody's washing up and brushing their teeth when in walk 3 toughs who beat up on a snivelly old guy who's due for release soon. Samuel, the captain of the block, takes the toy train the old guy had made for his kid and smashes it over his head, then beats the crap out of him.
It is a very confusing moment. Most of my notes are usually, what is happening?
Yep.
Yep. Because this all of a sudden, what ends up happening is the old guy gets mad. He grabs a wooden plane, one of those like woodworking tools that he just happened to have on him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In the shower. And then he runs at Samuel with it, but he's overpowered. And then they hit him with the wood plane, skinning his face right up the middle.
They plane his face.
Oh. And that's when you knew this movie was here to play.
My
Right?
reaction.
I was like, okay.
I was like, ah.
I was like, okay, movie.
But also,
and that's
the
it.
guy is like 60 years old.
Right.
Why does he have a child? Now, this could be a ridiculous question. Why does he have a child who is young enough to appreciate a wooden train made in prison? I don't think any child would appreciate
This
that.
man
but
is virile. Okay, that's
guess
all
so.
we
He's
need to know.
virile.
Look, if Al Pacino, I almost said Al Capone. If Al Pacino can have a child at 80, whatever.
Yeah, Robert De Niro has a baby
Yeah.
or like a 2-year-old.
we should make him a train in prison.
Make him a train and a little wooden plane. You can beat people up with it.
So now Samuel and his heavies go to leave, but then Samuel is tripped and he falls on a piece of wood with some nails sticking out of it that was also just laying there in the bathroom for some reason.
This is going to give you it's insight into what kind of prison this is.
This is the switch for the puppet mid-shot.
Yeah.
And it is so good.
It is so great because it is so rubbery and jiggly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He impales his face on the spikes, and then the dude who tripped him is none other than our man Ricky. And then they accost him, but he pushes them back with a fucking intense, crazy guy stare.
But he still has like he's a very pretty man. Like he's sort of like shoulder length, silky, beautiful hair. He's very boy band good looks, very intense eyes.
Oh yeah, he could have been a
Don't think he's
cantopop
gonna punch
singer
your
as well.
face
Like
off.
all of these guys had like side jobs as like musicians and shit. Yeah, very handsome dude. I think that they were like at the time that he was doing this, he was coming off of a couple of like big successes in Hong Kong, and they were sort of positioning him as like the next big like star.
The next Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, apparently he brought all of his hair product into prison with him.
Well, and then he made this movie, and well,
right.
Stuff
Because
happens.
I'm not sure I don't think that this movie was a big success in Hong Kong. It's kind of crept out into the broader culture, and like it just sort of like lives in exploitation movie infamy.
The cream rises to the top, my friends.
That is good. So, now Samuel's flunky try to nurse him back to health now that his head is all bandaged up. And they plan to kill Ricky by sicking a dude on him named Zorro.
Now, Zorro, we will come to learn, he's currently, I guess, in, I don't know, some sort of hospital wing because he ate an entire horse, they tell us.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
my question is, why are they serving any amount of horse in prison, let alone an entire
What
horse?
access did he have to a horse that eating it became an option?
In the manga, which I read today because I had a lot of time on my hands, he ate a horse's head.
Well,
In the Cantonese track, he ate not just a horse, but he ate the warden's prized horse. And that's why he's in the punishment wing.
Oh. Yeah, you gotta eat the less high quality horses.
Right. So the guard goes and releases Zorro, a great big fat guy who is chained up and drooling on himself. And then the guards go to the old guy as he works and inform him that he won't be released and has to stay in jail longer. And then they beat him up.
now the best part here is we learn why the old guy is in prison. And because one of them says, too bad he was rushing his wife to the hospital that one time and he killed a guy.
Not just a guy, he killed a cop.
Yeah.
Nope.
God.
So that night the guard is making the rounds in the North Block where Ricky is interned and he finds the old guy hanging from a rope.
And there is one thing that Ricky hates more than anything else, and that is injustice.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Nope.
This movie, Ricky's incident is incited every 46 seconds. No matter what happens, it could be like someone fucking, my scratch off lost. Just no matter what the incident is, it is his raison d'etre for the next 6 minutes of the film.
Yep. So Ricky overhears this story and he's not amused. And so the inmates are now removing the dead body in the rain. He runs up and he uncovers him and angrily demands that they take off the handcuffs. And when they won't, he breaks them with his bare hands and places the toy train, which he put back together for the guy, on his corpse as they take him away. Then he angrily screams into the night and proceeds to punch the air.
He does a lot of screaming into the night.
So much screaming into the night.
So the next day, everybody's back in that horrible communal bathroom. You get 15 minutes to either do your laundry or take a dump.
Or both.
Or both. If you, just depends on how.
As an IBS survivor, I found this part of the movie terrifying, okay? If I had 15 minutes to take a shower or shit, I would never shower again. I would die of some kind of fungal infection within minutes of entering the prison.
I would just say you're going to need 2 showers then, trust me.
I'm going to need at least 2 brutalists to take a shit a day. That's how I measure my shits and brutalists.
So Ricky hits.
Also AI assisted. It's auto-tuned. You guys big Brody heads. You guys big Brody fans. You afraid to insult Adrian?
I gotta see the brutalist to understand this joke, I think.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You absolutely don't. You can watch 9 good movies instead of that one bad one.
So now Ricky hits the showers, and so does Zorro, who marches right up to him, punches him so hard he flies off the ground and into the wall.
It's a real King Hippo moment here.
Right. So you gotta hit him in the stomach, and then he drops his pants, and then you go to town on him. So Ricky gets up, and Zorro charges at him. He easily sidesteps the attack and punches Zorro in the stomach so hard that his fist enters one side of his gut and exits the other.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
And can I say, like, practical effect, genuinely speaking, fooled me.
It's
great.
Yeah, because it doesn't just, like, you see it, like, his arm is just, like, in there.
Yeah.
And then he yanks.
They must have built the guy an extra stomach on top of
the thing that was, like, how they did some of these.
Oh, my God. Send that to me. I want to see all of it.
He really wanted it to look very real. And with whatever budget they have, obviously. And so they did all this under the skin type of stuff. So like, you'd hit him and like his whole, stomach would explode. So they are almost always wearing like an additional layer of padding in order to cover over whatever it is underneath them. But then some other times it's like, this is clearly just a big rubber. It's like a Mummenschanz puppet, like a big rubber thing.
Yes.
It's like, did you spend all of your money on King Hippo?
Yeah, it is either a scarecrow that we have tossed into a melt mixer or practical effects better than anything I've seen in movies for the last 20 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So now Ricky yanks his arm away and he tears his stomach open, causing his guts to spill out. Samuel then attacks Ricky with a big spike. In the manga, it is depicted that he pulls it out of his ass. Yep.
Now they didn't do that,
like out of his cheek or out of the hole?
Of the hole.
Are we talking Rubik's cube style?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See the picture.
He's got a whole railroad up there.
The old Bryan White. All right. Interesting.
Yep. Ricky intercepts him by letting him stab him through his hand. And he pulls it out and punches Samuel so hard that his torso explodes.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
And the guards in the jail are like so unmoved by all this. They're like, oh, this again.
Yeah, they come in there like, hey, Ricky, what are you doing?
Stop that right now.
Cut that out.
Come on. Cut it out. You scamps.
Yep.
Stop punching holes in each
They
other.
toss all his beautiful hair and send him on his way.
Yeah.
The guards are about to take him away when in walks the leader of the North Cell, Oscar, who intends to dole out the punishment after he's seen Cyclops, the assistant warden. The guards throw Ricky in his cell where he is suddenly overcome with pain in his chest, and he uses crazy meditation to get the pain under control.
And my note just says, what is it, Ricky? More injustice?
I sense that some wrongs are being done.
Yes. It's like a spider sense, but for gratuitous violence.
So now we flash back to young Ricky walking through a cemetery where he meets his uncle, who is tending Ricky's father's grave.
And his uncle says, I am your uncle. I have known you since you were a kid. And my note says, then why doesn't he know who you are?
He watches him from a distance. He comes up to his
Yeah, it's a one-way
He comes
relationship.
up to his window at night and like watches him sleep.
The law says I have to watch from 100 yards away.
Which is where we'll be shooting our kung fu from.
So we learn that Ricky has super strength and he's really good at martial arts. So he demonstrates some sweet moves, which amuse the old man. Then he goes to attack the old man, who easily fends Ricky off with a single sweep of his arm.
And so much awkward laughing. So much laughing.
Yep, because he knows Qigong Kung Fu. He can do this, and Ricky begs him to teach him how to do it. Rather, he begs his uncle's crotch to teach him how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
So you
familiar.
can't look up. You can't look up and meet him in the eyes. You gotta
Nope.
look at his
The sign
junk.
of respect. Dogs do a play bow.
They didn't have
and-
Patreon back then, Brian. You had to get things in the old-fashioned way.
Nope. Sometime later, Ricky has learned Qigong and is surrounded by a halo of pink fire. Then he goes apeshit on the gravestones, smashing them to pieces as a demonstration of
So
his
funny.
newfound martial arts and super strength. He's
What
fucking
this-
awesome now.
Weeping with laughter when he's smashing all the graves in the
It
graveyard.
needed a better soundtrack. Like, it needed a triumphant song.
It needed a pan over to a funeral, just held perfectly still and horrified.
Everyone's
at
just
the
shocked.
Yep.
same- Grandma.
Back in
I
the
was
present,
200 years old.
this beautiful, all these beautiful headstones, and there's just this lunatic going crazy in there. Back in the present,
Darling, maybe a different cemetery after the children are going. What do you think? Yeah.
the guards take Ricky to the assistant warden's office. It's a huge office with walls lined with shelves of porno videos.
Yeah.
No, the warden, a nasty weirdo with one eye and a crazy hook hand, eats a super rare steak that bleeds on the plate
Why is it still bleeding?
because he's a savage. That's
Okay,
why.
but that's
He's
not
decadent.
how animals work.
Yeah.
No, but it's got that Dario Argento blood coming out of it.
It really does.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's eating in what appears to be like a hotel conference room, but with a lot of porn on the walls.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
feel like a hotel conference room.
Right.
I was going to say, yeah.
They want to juxtapose this with the cramped conditions of the prison. Like this
Yeah.
guy, it's a decadent luxury that this guy lives in. They bring in Ricky. And they present his file. Ricky is a musician who plays the flute and is extremely dangerous, we learn.
Yeah, they also say that his parents are unknown. And I thought, well, his parents can't be unknown. He just spent like a week with his uncle and he's in the cemetery, clearly at his father's grave. He has to know who he is to know where his grave is.
Yeah, yeah. You learn in Qigong Kung Fu, which is technically a real thing, but it's not. It's like Tai Chi. It's not like a fucking martial art.
Is that the stuff where the guys think they have magic powers and then boxers punch them?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
That's my third favorite kind of YouTube video.
yeah. That's.
Have you seen
I
these?
have seen those where like their energy is just so intense that the dudes like go
Yeah.
to punch them and then they like roll away all crazy and shit.
Right, but then they get someone who's not in on the grift.
Just punches the guy
and
in the
he,
face.
And he just punches the old man and he's like, and they're like, try again. And he's like, no.
no.
He literally says no. He's like, whatever. He doesn't have a force field. He seems like I hurt him a lot.
Also, that's how Houdini died.
Yes.
Yeah. But like, yeah, like
Wow,
it's
too soon, Dave.
I know.
That's my people, by
true.
which I mean Jews.
so the decadent assistant warden Cyclops puts a fake eye in, and then he interrogates Ricky about the missing 2 years in his life when he was learning sweet magic martial arts.
Yeah,
But
and
Ricky
he pulls
won't
he
speak.
pulls a picture of his girlfriend out of his prison file. Why do they have a picture of his girlfriend in
Don't
the
know.
prison file?
It's nice that they get an inciting incident photo
do.
in your prison file. That's good. It's important.
As a little leverage, they open Ricky's mail. It contains a photo of a pretty young woman. When Ricky reaches for it, Cyclops pins his hand to the desk with his hook hand and punches Ricky in the face a bunch, demanding to know why he's so good at kicking ass. Ricky spits blood in his face.
Gross.
Yeah. So then Cyclops says he's going to get Ricky's girl and bring her back to prison for some fun. So Ricky smashes the desk and dodges a bullet as he and Cyclops banter some more, ending with Ricky throwing a punch that stops just short of his face, but he still bleeds as if he's been hit. And then he does the whole taste my own blood thing. He's going to do that a bunch in this movie.
But he's way too pretty to be doing these things. So like every time he does it, it's like,
Yep. And he tells the warden not to fuck with him and leaves.
yeah.
Yeah. So in his cell, Ricky looks at the photo of his girlfriend longingly and then plays a little wooden flute.
You cannot have a flute in prison.
Well, he
For-
probably
You
For
gotta
so many
choose
reasons.
between. You gotta choose between flute and magic qigong powers. There's no way you have time to practice.
Cannot
both.
have both.
So now he's flashing back to better times as he and his girlfriend play with a remote control airplane.
And God, pre-prison Ricky is the biggest fucking dork.
He's got the sweater around the neck.
And he is just giggling like a schoolgirl. It is like when they go in Don't Panic, when they go on their date, their breakfast date. And it's just like everybody is there are birds singing and everyone is so happy.
Yeah, they're out riding horses and rowing a boat and wearing a sombrero. So he has some message about how beautiful she is attached to a remote control helicopter, which annoys her for some reason.
She hates
Look,
it.
if
She
someone
makes
did
her
that to
real-
me, I'd be like, get the fuck away from me.
Okay, so Dave, please do not look out your window. Then I owe a skywriter an emergency text message. Wow. You try and do a nice thing because someone has you on your podcast. Do you know how much I had to come into those tanks on the airplane?
I would have accepted a
try and-
$5 Patreon subscription. So joke's on you.
God, you guys never shut up about the Patreon. Jeez. We'll put as many Rubik's Cubes up Brian's ass as you want. Buy the shirt. Like, I hear you. Yep. I want to support
Patreon.com/bringmetheaxpod.
Bring me the
This is just $5.
The next day, one of Samuel's surviving goons gets jumped in the hallway by the guys in the cell block. With no one to protect him, they gang up on him, and Andrew, the leader of the mob, produces this crazy sword with a saw blade. He's about to chop the dude up with it, but in walks Oscar to put a stop to the madness.
Before Oscar walks in, he says, what do you want? They said, first, eat shit. Then you lick our shoes clean. You got that? And I was like, no. Don't.
I need so many more explanations of what this punishment is for. Also, who is this guy and why don't we like him?
He's the one of the guys who was with Samuel, the guy whose gut got blasted. He's one of his like flunkies, and he's like a cell block rat.
Oh, okay. So they don't like it because he's a rat. Yeah. Okay, got it.
In the subtitled version, they keep saying that he grasses on everybody. He's always grassing on people. And I had to look that up. Apparently, that's like a British colloquialism in prison for a person who like rats on other people. They grass on them.
Okay, okay. It's
So,
all coming together.
I
Thank you.
don't-
I just wrote in my notes at this point. I'm confused. Did I miss a different movie?
When this came out, when this came out, I guess. So if for those who don't know, Hong Kong has been a kind of it's a hot property around the town. Was it a British territory when the movie came out?
I think that happened in the late 90s when they got independence. So yes.
Probably. Okay, so I guess it would make sense that they're like, here's some fucking British slang. Then I'm gonna start using that. I'm gonna work that into my. It's a colloquialism. I'm like, why are you grassing me all the time?
I think the subtitle track came from the '88 films release, which is I think they're British.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So, yep. So now Oscar convinces them all to let the rat go, but when he's called out for it, Oscar takes that crazy sword and chops Andrew in the face with it.
Yes. Does.
Yep. And then in walks the Cyclops, who drags Andrew away with his hook hand. In the office, the warden tasks Oscar with killing Ricky. He's going to use Andrew's body to lure Ricky out to the yard because, again, he hates injustice. So the warden gives Oscar a big-ass knife to kill Ricky with. And then he pops some little mint candies out of his false eye.
Thank you. I was really hoping you would mention the fact that the rest of the warden's business will be emptying mints into his hand out of his eyeball.
Right.
Does that like feel winter fresh when it's in? That was my question that stayed with me.
I guess if it's glass, probably not.
Yeah.
But you'd still know. Like, it would still give off a, like sort of a capsicum.
You'd turn your head too quick and you get like a chick.
So out in the yard, Oscar sits on the arm of a big cross where Andrew's body is chained up. And here comes Ricky.
Just a giant cross. This is the weirdest prison I've ever
Christian
seen.
movie. This is why we'll be doing it on my podcast, God Awful Movies. Check it out. We have a Patreon. You get a one bonus episode a month, motherfuckers. Maybe. We've been skipping a few this year. One of our guys had a heart attack.
So Ricky is too happy to oblige, and they get to it. So Ricky resists the fight at first. He wants them to let Andrew go before they fight proper.
And Oscar's like the lamest of the gang of four, right? Like, he's the one who doesn't have magic powers.
He's just a tough guy, you know?
Yeah.
But he's obviously the first to go.
Yeah.
I bet their icebreaker was super awkward when they were like, I have the 5-finger death punch. And the other guy was like, I have these netting needles. And the other guy was like, I'm super strong and I smash people's heads. And he was like, you did a lot of push-ups.
It's like, I have connections in the industry. My dad
didn't
works
really
here.
realize.
Yeah. I was in the Yakuza. Look at my tattoo.
He definitely does have a triad vibe.
So, Oscar then throws a bunch of powdered glass in Ricky's face, which blinds him.
Pocket sand.
Pocket sand! I literally wrote pocket sand in my notes.
My note says pocket sand.
Hell yeah.
He cuts his arm really bad with the knife. Thinking he's finished, he gloats, but Ricky bursts open a water pipe and cleans out his eyes.
That's not how glass in your eyes works.
Nope, but
you don't
it does
just
in this.
flush it out.
It does in this movie.
Flush out the.
But also, he probably used a little bit of that Qigong Kung Fu.
But now everybody.
And then he ties his tendons back together.
Yes, he does.
And everybody is like, hey, Ricky's fighting with Oscar. And they all run to the windows like it's a junior high fight.
Yep.
Except someone's tying their tendons together. And
With
the
his
other one has
fingers and
pocket
his
sand.
teeth.
I don't know what junior high fights were like where you were from, but there was a lot of intestine strangling in my high school.
Oscar charges at him, but Ricky hits him in the back of the head, knocking one of his eyes out. Now, Oscar, thinking he's defeated, cuts his stomach open, pulls his guts out. Ricky rushes at him, begging him not to do it. But
Now,
he
my problem is Ricky rushes at him and begs him not to do it. Like, man, you just slapped his eye out of his
Eyeball
head.
out. You gotta pick a lane.
he's going to do this. He's going to do
you.
this again with Tarzan, where he's like, Tarzan, come with me, even though you just tried to kill me. But so now Ricky throws him. So now he pulls out his intestines and tries to strangle Ricky with them. And then he knocks him away.
I get it. I have a toddler.
Oscar rushes at him one last time, and Ricky throws him up in the air. As he comes down, Ricky punches him in the face, and we cut to an X-ray shot of his skull being crushed by his fist.
You're welcome, Mortal Kombat.
They should have used this more because it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's such a fucking great scene. With the fight over, Ricky picks up the cross and lays it down so he can unchain Andrew's body.
My note says, Ricky is like their Jesus.
He is, his indomitable will and his super strength.
And his silky hair. His beautiful white skin.
Guys, I missed the part of the Bible where Jesus says super strength. Does he have super strength?
It would have been a lot more appealing.
It's an LDS thing. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I've read that one too. Damn it.
What's the one? What's the Japanese one? The weird ones that make all the cartoons. What are
the Happy Science Cult?
Yeah, it's
Happy Science Cult. I've read all those too. I did the homework.
So Ricky and the prisoners go at Cyclops, but out comes an even bigger guy who literally smashes one of the prisoners' heads. It's so good. And that's the 5 questions thing that everybody kind of learned about this movie from. The big guy is one of the gang of 4. His name is Tarzan. Then there's Brandon, a little guy with some darts on strings who punctures some of the prisoners, causing them to fucking pour blood. And then a third prisoner, Rogan, who has some as yet unspecified super special martial arts technique.
Quick question about Rogan. Why is this male character played by a woman?
Okay, so this is something that is very common in manga and anime where villains are not often, but for a while, villains were always like queer coded
Nice.
and
Yes.
very
It's
androgynous.
It's the Asian version of like how we used to have like Mr. Bond
Okay.
British people.
Like
yeah?
Liquid Snake in Metal Gear Solid. He's got like he's really foppish. Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII. They're always a little fey, a little androgynous. I don't know what it is. I don't know why.
Dave just licking his
They
lips,
just like come
looking at you.
flouncing on us, going
While
like,
you're-
"Hey guys,
Yeah,
welcome to my
they
prison."
but yeah, they've got designs on world domination and a weapon to surpass Metal Gear.
Where's that Final Fantasy VII remake? I don't want a real-time action RPG. I want a fucking twinked out Sephiroth. to be
You
like,
kind of already get
ew,
one.
ew, 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 gross.
Yeah. So now they all want to fight Ricky, but he walks away and unchains Andrew and carries him away. And then Cyclops asks him if he'll take Oscar's place in the Gang of Four, but he ignores him.
They look like the worst boy band. One of them has like these like flouncy bangs that are dyed blonde. It's a very strange look.
Yeah. Elsewhere in the prison, Alan, Oscar's godson, attempts to play a leaf-like flute as he saw Ricky doing it earlier, but is unsuccessful.
I had a lot of I'll
Okay,
say unkind comments about Alan.
So in the manga, they obviously laundered this for the movie, but in the manga, Alan, his name is Asa. It is very heavily implied that he is Oscar's boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
He
So in
also
here,
seems a
they're just
little
like, he's his
slow.
godson.
If you kill a guy, do you get his boy? Is that how
Well,
prison
it does sort of seem that way in this film. Because he's like, I will show me how to work your flute, Ricky.
So Ricky shows up to try.
Maybe I have seen this movie before. Never mind.
Ricky tries to show him how to do it and instructs him, but he's unable to because Alan's tongue was cut out at some point. So Ricky gives him the wooden flute, which makes him leap and dance like an idiot.
Oh God. And it's my note just says now Alan's prancing around the prison quad or whatever, playing the flute like a lunatic. Like he is just having the time of his life.
Leaping and dancing before the Lord.
Leaping and dancing for the Lord.
Rogan watches disapprovingly from a nearby window. Alan then presents one of his leaves to Ricky, which he realizes that they're from poppies.
Oh, and you know what Ricky hates more than injustice?
Heroin.
Opium.
Opium.
So Rogan then explains to the other Gang of Four people that Alan sold them out to Ricky. So they bring him into their cell and give him the knife, telling him that he has to kill Ricky.
You skipped over the Ricky gets his own bastard moment. If anyone is familiar with Pieces, where we get a great moment where she screams bastard. That is what Ricky gets in this movie.
Oh, that's after Alan is killed.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Don't get ahead of us,
sorry.
Dave. Alan's
I know
still
you were so
alive and well.
excited to have a bastard.
I was having it's like this great moment.
Dave went into a fugue state and started licking his lips after he heard you could inherit someone's boy by beating them
prancing
up.
around with the flute in my head.
So when
There's a level of that on Patreon as well.
I don't have time for that.
when he refuses, they pull aside a sheet revealing Oscar's dead body. At some point, they skinned his back and hung his Yakuza tattoo over the body. And when he further refuses, they declare him a traitor and hit him in the face with a knife, skinning the lower half of his face.
It seems like you shouldn't be able to have all these implements in prison. I think this is probably where the problem originates. You wouldn't have the rest of these issues.
Where's the TSA when you need
If you
it?
didn't give people planers and toy trains and
Knives.
spiked
And
boards.
Yep. Then they skin the rest of him and leave his body out in the yard with a bloody flute for everyone to find. And Ricky is pissed.
Yeah.
That's where he starts yelling bastards. Rogan tells Cyclops about Ricky and the poppies. And as they talk, they spot a fire out in the West Wing.
I liked this moment because this was it's like those exposition moments on X-Files where they're like, wait, do you mean blah, blah, blah? Like people might not understand the connection between poppies and opium. So they got to kind of slip this in there to so everyone gets it. It's drugs.
Yeah. Ricky suddenly kicks his way.
And we recommend them.
Yes. The official stance of this podcast.
Outvoted.
Once again, I'm outvoted. I guess
that
that is.
you grow your
right.
own poppies.
That's the only way that I'm going to get behind this is if you do the work, you grow your own poppies,
You've earned it.
you extract that milk, and then you make that opium.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's what you need a boy for. It helps extract your milk.
Jesus Christ. So Rogan,
I'm so sorry to the new listeners. You got a bunch of movie nerds. We're like, oh, I can't wait to hear the fun facts. And I'm like, I fucking chundle the ice cream cone up the fucking Rubik's. I'm a horrible pig, and I promise I'm only here the one episode.
you saved this for us. I never hear this on God Awful Movies.
It's because Noah cuts it.
Don't worry. I'm usually the one that's like typing my notes, and I'm like, no, I can't say that.
Yeah.
I probably
Before we
shouldn't
got
say
on,
that.
Dave was like, don't worry, I'm the edgy one. And I was like, I think I'm going to talk about putting Rubik's Cubes in your brother's ass. So we'll find out. We'll find out.
Yep. So now Rogan runs out to find his entire crop of poppies burning. Ricky suddenly kicks his way out of the burning cages and challenges him. And they fight. And it turns out that Rogan's kung fu makes them hard to see. He can also fly.
I like that they say, he says, Rogan's kung fu is unorthodox. And my note just says, it's 2025. You can just say gay.
Yep. He gives Ricky the old dim mock technique, the death touch. Looks like it's curtains for Ricky, but the prisoners in the block start rioting. Cyclops is informed by the guards that the warden is on his way back to prison from his vacation in Hawaii. So he resorts to drastic measures to get the prison under control. Meanwhile, to get his heart pumping again, Ricky punches himself in the chest.
That's what you're supposed to.
And he is fine now.
Yep. So yeah,
The Chris Farley Chicago Bears method of dim mock reversal.
then they square up to fight some more, but in comes Brandon and his rope darts, and the three of them fight. Rogan throws a shitload of darts, wraps Ricky up, and they're about to kill him when Tarzan intervenes because he hasn't had a chance to fight Ricky yet. Then machine guns start shooting everybody in the yard, forcing the gang and Ricky to retreat.
Yeah. I did love this moment where Tarzan interrupts the fight to be like, hey guys, I'm a featured player. I'm not an under 5, so I am going to need this fight to kind of hold off.
It does have a very and also Tarzan kind of feel
Yeah,
to it.
exactly. And don't forget about Tarzan, huh?
Yeah, so
He's your best friend.
Tarzan takes Ricky into his cell, demands they fight, but then vents open up and cement pours in. Ricky then leaps through the steel door to escape.
It just occurred to me, there's really no way to describe this film.
The thing is it's like he comes fucking flying through the door.
Yeah.
This is a lot like when
Yeah.
we did the Godzilla
And
Ghidorah, where it's just like, and then Godzilla breathes fire, and then Ghidorah, he's got 3 heads, and like grabs and wraps them around, and it's like, you just sound like 2 5-year-olds talking.
You sound like a toddler that needs to be diagnosed with ADD.
And I was.
As it happens, like this movie is just fight after fight after fight.
Oh, it's just not a single beat. So again, I sat down. I was talking about this to Bryan. I sat down to watch this because I'm always like, oh, I watch movies for a living. I started this movie and just blinked, and it was over, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah. I mean, I did say before we got on here, because of all the things I've seen in film, I think I had built this up, or other people had built this one up a little too much.
I definitely hyped this one for you.
Yeah, I've seen James Spader fuck a woman's leg. We're far.
That was a weird episode of The Blacklist.
Well, won an Emmy. Yeah. We're far beyond this, and so I watched it and I was like, yeah, it's fun.
But it didn't get you there?
I mean, I've seen a lot of Italian films, and they have a bar that is much lower.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
I mean,
fair enough. Can we talk about The Blacklist? Because I really need to proselytize about The Blacklist. Have you guys, are you aware of what the twist is in the finale of The Blacklist?
I've never seen a single episode. But
I watched.
May I?
I watched a few seasons of it, and I watched a few seasons of it and then I kind of got sidetracked. So
May I spoil the Blacklist
Please.
for you?
Wish would.
Because it's actually really important that no one knows and no one believes me, and I need to speak my truth, which is, as Bryan can attest, at the end of season 1, right? So James Spader, he's interested in this FBI agent, and everybody's like, why is he interested? She is an orphan. Her parents died in a fire. So at the end of season 1, she asks the very obvious question, are you my father? And he's like hooked up to a lie detector or something, and he says no. So he's not, because lie detectors work on TV shows, right? 8 seasons later, would you like to guess what he turns out to be?
He's not, is he her father?
He's her.
I don't think I like that at all.
He's
That feels
her-
very.
wait.
Yup. Yes.
You're making that up.
You think
I
it's
am
the future,
not
but it's really the past.
making it up. I'm the only person who watched the end of the Blacklist,
That can't
and
be
it
right.
recontextualizes the Blacklist forever. Every time, because you get those little clips of the Blacklist, right, that are like through that filter that feels like you're passing out, and it's just that's apparently that guy's.
Well, now I got to watch the fucking show.
You have to watch the entirety of the Blacklist, if only for the moment.
Because I'll tell you what, the
mother.
most tiresome aspect of that is is he my dad? Like they drag that for seasons.
Oh, I couldn't get past.
Seasons.
That's not my James Spader.
Oh God, I love James Spader. I love James Spader so much. He just turns to the camera and he's like, "You want me to do this thing again?" And I'm like, "I do, James Spader. Thank you."
I just
A little bit more of that.
I just remember watching like Crash, and I'm like, this James Spader is looking incredible. And 4 years later, I was like, ah.
Yeah,
It is shocking. No, he's not. He's
Me
not.
too,
He's not
James
taking
Spader.
anybody's greasy jeans off.
no.
Oh.
So yeah, Ricky then leaps through the steel door to escape, carrying Tarzan on his back to safety. He's caught by Cyclops on the steps, and the cement dries, making it impossible to move. They clean up Tarzan, they put Ricky in a cage, and get ready for the warden to show up. Hours go by, the warden's late. It's all a big joke, I guess.
Yeah, is
Then
that
the
like a
warden-
thing in Hong Kong where they're like, oh, you know, a warden never on time.
Right. We were talking about this before we started recording a little bit, but the difference between the original source material in this movie, despite the fact that it's like almost one-to-one with a few sort of key story changes, like his uncle's not in it, his girlfriend's not in it. He just shows up and he's awesome.
Oh, his girlfriend is in it. She makes some weird choices. And she's not in it anymore.
But the tone of the manga is dead serious.
Hell yeah.
And this one is like they were reading it and they were like, oh, this shit's funny as hell. So it's very slapsticky and stuff. And that's when you get this, where like the warden finally shows up after like making them all wait, and they're all like lying on top of each other, like sweating in the sun.
What
and
the
he
fuck?
shows up with his big idiot son.
Oh, because you know what? It's an Asian movie and it needs a fat little kid in tiny shorts.
You need a fat little kid in tiny shorts. There are tropes in Asian cinema that are so impossible to explain.
That's the only one I know.
Like whenever you talk to someone about Shaolin soccer, they're like, hey, that one. And you're like, it's a thing in Shaolin. It's a very iconic thing. And they're like, fat children? And you're like, yep. Fat children.
Yep.
They hate
and like
them.
usually they're at a distance and they're cheering on camera.
Yes,
And
exactly.
if there are a lot of cops, one of them is bumbling.
Yep.
No matter what, it could be.
That's across the
Could be
genres.
dead serious. The whole movie could be dead serious. And there's one that's like, da, 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 just drops his sandwich on the floor and slips on a banana peel.
Can I say something brave? 7 was missing that police officer. I think it would have been fun.
That
So,
sounds like it's
Just
right
one guy
for a
from the
remake.
Bronx being like, holy fucking shit, guy. That's gross.
I had in a box.
I'm going to go kill some
Oh,
dogs.
is that your wife? God.
Don't do what he says. No, don't do what he says. That's a bad idea. Hey, Kevin Spacey, get used to being in here, by the way, just so you know. I know you think you get a boy because you killed him, but
You're
going
going
to
to like it
whoever
better
owns.
in here anyway.
Trust me.
Yep. So the warden appears to be just a regular dude in a suit, but like his son is an adult man dressed to look like a bratty kid with a bowl cut.
It is very, very strange. At one point, they're going to turn to him and be like, are you eating a candle?
Don't eat the candle, mister.
It's the best.
So the kid beats up on Cyclops and skips down the red carpet tripping. Then the warden demands to know who's responsible for the carpet. And they drag a prisoner out who gets stabbed in the eye with the cane for his trouble.
This is the part. This is what's tough for me because I'm not that familiar. Well, I'm not at all familiar with Hong Kong culture. But I watch these movies and I'm like, is this supposed to be funny? I don't understand this.
Yeah. This is levity.
This is the comic part of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the one thing is why I never really branched out into other genres other than like John Woo gunplay movies and like, kung fu movies is because like
that pornography you lied about. At the
yes, and that too. But
they're called pink films. Thank you very much.
That's Japan. We're talking about Hong Kong. Let's
Jesus!
Get on the same page with me.
You guys said you wouldn't fight about pornography when we were on the air.
The comedy.
We were supposed to start recording at 6. Damn it.
The comedy movies are really, really fucking dumb.
Hey, but you know what? I also don't understand why Daniel Tosh is funny, and so
Nobody does. Nobody does.
Secret is that he's not, Dave.
He's so not funny that it's funny.
He's not.
Yeah, that it like loops back around to him being.
It's like when you say it enough times, funny all of a sudden.
Right. So Cyclops briefs the warden on what's been going on. He's pissed because they get slave labor from their prisoners, and dead prisoners mean less money. When Cyclops tells him about the fire in the poppy fields, he suddenly flies into a painful rage. So they give him some pills, which calm him down.
Well, they don't give him pills. They give him candy.
They give him
gummy candy.
Which do not come back in the film, surprisingly.
It's just his medication.
Right? So he doesn't
Sour watermelons. I get it.
Yeah. So down in the prison, Ricky, covered in cement, is chained up in a cell. The Cyclops introduces the warden to him. Enraged, Ricky flexes and breaks the cement and his chain. And then he rushes forward, grabs the warden, but here comes Tarzan, literally smashing through the walls to punch Ricky. Finally,
hey, don't forget Tarzan, your favorite member of the movie.
He's a real Mongo from Blazing Saddles is what he is. He comes crashing through and he goes, "You hit like a girl." And my note says, "Ha, homophobia. Got him."
Tarzan throws Ricky against the bars, bends them around his arms so he can't get away, and starts beating Ricky's ass while the stupid kid cheers him on. Then he presses Ricky's head through the bars, but he suddenly breaks free and punches Tarzan's arm, breaking it very, very badly. And then he does the taste the blood thing again before delivering an uppercut that hits Tarzan so hard that his fist enters his under his neck and exits out his mouth.
But don't worry, he'll be fine in a few minutes.
He will be fine, yeah.
Yeah. Tarzan goes to hit Ricky, but he intercepts the punch with his own, smashing Tarzan's arm up to the elbow. So now Tarzan down for the count. The ceiling springs to life. A hydraulic press pressing down to crush them.
Zaniest prison.
I'd love to have been at the design meeting for this prison where they were like, okay, so we're going to need a cement room, of course. Hydraulic press room. Yeah, obviously we can do two of just the one. All right. Good.
Let's have a trap door also.
Yeah, and then someone was like, hey, you want any actual cells in here? Or, no, just zany traps.
What if we just
showers only?
Fancy showers?
The hydraulic press in every cell though.
Yeah, that's good. You never know when you're going to need it.
Yep. So, Ricky's so strong that he pushes it back, turning into a sort of tug of war until the warden touches a stun gun to the bars, which electrocutes him. And then the ceiling continues to fall. It looks like they're going to crush Ricky when Tarzan suddenly comes to life and uses his back to lift it. Now, Ricky, again, smashes through the bars and tries to get Tarzan to follow him, but he's done for and it crushes him. All that's left of him is a picture of him and his elderly mother.
And this is because it's like Tarzan was a person too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy he was just fighting becomes his inciting incident. He's like, Tarzan!
It's injustice.
Yep. So, Ricky's about to attack the warden. When he pushes a button, a trap door opens, dropping Ricky into a pit. This is like Mr. Burns' office.
It really is. What I love about Tarzan is right before he dies, he says, "I'll see you later." That's how I want to go.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Out in the yard, Ricky is chained up in a pit. The prisoners are instructed by the warden to bury him alive. They refuse at first, but Ricky tells them to comply so they don't get into trouble.
And they're all assembled around him in this big circle, and it's just like, row, 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 row. Peas and carrot. Like the looping is so hard in this scene that it is.
Yeah. No, it's intense.
So now they don't get in trouble. They'll bury him alive. If he survives, he'll be a free man. If he can make it 7 days, but he probably won't. By night, a dog watches the pile, and the inmates all talk about Ricky's chances of survival. Looks like all is lost when they hear Ricky's whistle from under the dirt. And then out of nowhere, Rogan leaps out of a hatch in the ground and kicks the dog in half. And then he and Brandon stuff the dog's heart down the breathing tube.
I have to talk about this because this is the only thing Criterion.com warned me about when watching this movie.
Perfect.
When I was about to press play on this movie, Criterion.com was like, hey, just so you know, there's animal abuse in this film. And I was like, okay, good looking out. And the third or fourth time someone had an uppercut go through their jaw, I was like, hey, Criterion, you need to expand your categories, okay?
As someone who pretty much universally checks does the dog die before watching anything, I knew this was coming, so I didn't get
Ricky O has does the dog die?
Oh yeah, but and I was just like, all right, but so I was kind of ready for it, and I who cannot tolerate that in pretty much any movie, I was like, okay, it's not what you think it's gonna be because it's real fucking silly. But I will take us on another detour. Did either of you watch American Dad?
Obviously,
so
yes.
there's an episode where I cannot remember the sort of inciting incident, but I think Roger tells Stan something that Francine told him and that he was not supposed to tell. Okay. And so they end up going on like this wine tasting. And in order for him to keep Francine from telling him, he buries her very much like this. And then this a very similar thing comes along where he's shoving food down into the tube to get to her, and he blocks the tube off. But it's with a bag of sun chips, and he goes, they're made from the sun. That's how they know they're good for you. And he turns it over and he looks at the nutritional information and goes, oh, no, they are not. I think that every time I look at sun chips. What a weird thing sun chips were. They had a moment, though.
Oh, are you kidding? You went to Subway when I was a kid? You were getting sun chips.
Well,
were you Harvest Cheddar or original? That's the question. And that's why we turned out gay.
Well, that's true. That and frogs and I think Yellow 5.
Yellow 5? I don't know.
But, that and Binghamton. What can you do?
Oh. Look, it was either be a person in Binghamton.
I can't
How
be
the fuck did we get here from sun chips?
We made it. Look, it's not a far. If you'd had a sun chip, you'd be gay too, Brian. But you were over there.
Yeah,
with your Lay's original.
You're like, I'm born in Massachusetts, never eaten sun chips. Well,
maybe
you.
That is, I was born in Salem, and I've never had a sun chip.
Okay, well, if you were born in Salem, you're definitely gay because all of my wife's gay friends live in Salem, and that's the gayest town. I've been to Provincetown. Salem's the gayest town I've ever been in.
So also, let's talk about Ricky. He while he's down there in the hole, he flashes back to old times while he waits it out.
I was very confused because I was like, it took me until the end of this flashback scene to be like, oh, this is a flashback.
A flashback. Yeah, no, I was also confused. Thank you, Dave.
So his girlfriend leaves school and walks through the park, accidentally happening upon some heroin dealers and junkies.
All just doing heroin just in the street.
Yep. Mm-hmm. When she tries to run away,
the way we recommend you do.
It's almost like a Hong Kong cover version of Cruising.
Yeah. Sharing neat.
When she tries to run away, she's caught by one of the dealers who brings her back to the head dealer guy. It looks like they're going to do some nasty business to her, but she freaks out, runs up to the roof, and then accidentally off of the roof to her death.
That was the other thing I was confused about. Does she accidentally fall off of the roof? Or was she like, I have to protect my Christianity, and so she hurls
I think it was
herself.
a protect my Christianity, so I have to throw this doll off the roof. Yeah.
So Ricky identifies her body and then charges out into the night for revenge. Finding the dealer and his two lady friends, the dude shoots Ricky 5 times in the chest, but it's not enough. Ricky punches him in the head so hard that it leaves a huge bloody dent in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is when I wrote in my notes, hey, Criterion Collection. Why?
That's exactly. I think I told you that. You were like, "Where can I find this movie?" I was like, "It's on Criterion Collection." I have no idea why.
Okay, now to be fair, it is not in the Criterion Collection.
No. It's on the
simply on the
network.
channel because I think they go to great pains to be like, okay, we have a channel. It's not the collection, though. You understand.
Yeah, there's a closet that we let Adrian Brody wander around in for YouTube, and then there's the channel where
We make money.
We get what Tubi doesn't want.
Oh no, I dream of being in the Criterion closet and having my moment where I just pick like Sallow 3 times.
Listen, listeners, we've gone on lots of tangents tonight. Couple of things though. Do not Google Salo. Do not Google Bud Dwyer. Don't
what you
Google
do.
any of this.
First of all, get your kids. Get your kids.
Absolutely.
Gather them around.
These are
wait till Christmas.
a lot of these videos of people killing themselves. Salo is just, you can Wikipedia it if you want. Do not watch it. You will be very upset.
That's a hard watch. It's a hard watch.
It's a hard watch. Which is harder, Men in Front of the Sun or Sallow?
Well, let's see. In Sallow, a bunch of fascists rape a bunch of teenagers and force them to literally poop.
Yes.
But in Men Behind the Sun, an actual child's body is autopsied and a dude's intestines explode out of his butt. So
You be the choice.
It's a toss-up.
Put up a Patreon poll.
But in absurd,
what do you
Georgie
think,
Smitty's
listener?
a
Bring me
baby.
the xpod@gmail.com.
That's good.
Please don't invite that horrible man back on your lovely. I listened to this show on my drive today because I was like, I want to be in the mood. I want to listen. I'm laughing along. I was like, oh, it's great. It's a smart show. Don't be gross, Eli. Like, just come on and enjoy movies with these guys. The second my face the second I couldn't talk about the Brady Bunch, I was like, I'm drinking cum out of a Skittles bag.
Look, I appreciate it because the comments are usually, why is the gay one always talking and interrupting? And I'm like, God damn it, I'm a person. You know
like
that,
you are
right?
fully unchained here. You're like, Noah's not here to fucking edit me. This is great.
Dave, they comment that about me too. So I get you. You come on over to God Awful Movies where we appreciate you, baby.
So when the 7 days are up, the inmates gather in the yard as a huge excavator digs him up. Ricky hangs from its bucket by his chain, seemingly dead, but then he suddenly breaks out of the chains, fully recovered.
Not a speck of dirt on him.
No,
Guy's been in the ground for 3 weeks.
Rogan attacks and knocks him out. I'm fighting the urge to call him Joe Rogan.
I did keep thinking that every time. I was just like, why do they keep saying
Yeah, it's
Rogan?
much more fun if you picture Joe Rogan instead of the guy in the movie.
Joe Rogan with that beautiful hair.
Those long nipples.
Wouldn't have been a white supremacist.
No, they wake Ricky up in the warden's office, confining him in a nest of bent rebar. And he swears that he's going to kill them all, but Brandon hits him across the face like 1,000 times with a wrench. While the warden demands wants to know where Ricky disappeared to for those 2 years. It's a very, very important detail that adds up to fucking nothing. By the way, he never gives up the goods. Rogan demands a chance at Ricky and stuffs his mouth full of razor blades, and he punches him in the face a bunch of times.
It's super gross.
And when the warden approaches, Ricky spits the razor blades in his face.
And they're all like protruding out of his cheeks at the time.
Yeah, he
Awesome.
seems unbothered by this in a way that really troubles
I
me.
love the fact that like nothing stops this guy. Like they don't even bother to do like what they do when people like try to write Superman these days. They got to find a way to kind of like make an invulnerable Superman like vulnerable. Not Story of Ricky. They're just like, look, you can't stop this fucking guy.
Yeah, no. Superman's only weakness is his box office sales.
Hey-o. Hey, they chain up. So they chain him up. They throw him back into his cell. One of the inmates sneaks some rice into it and a plate that says "Don't give up." And the rice and the encouraging message powers Ricky back up.
I bet if they did that to Jesus, he wouldn't have given up.
Just give him a plate and some rice
Because
with an encouraging message on it.
Quite famously, Jesus did give up.
Quitter. Yeah. Quitter. And Dave's not afraid to say it. Do cocaine
Listen,
with your family while you watch Sallow and Jesus is a
Why
quitter.
you watch Bud Dwyer end his career?
Listen, we speak the hard truths on 99 Cent Rental.
Here on Bring Me the X.
Woo.
So now the dude with the rice leaves, but he's spotted by the bald guy that was Samuel L. Heavy, like way back at the beginning of the movie. The warden and the heavy then come and drag the rice guy away. They drag his body down to Ricky's cell, but he's not there. And then they enter it like idiots. They find that Ricky was suspending himself off the ceiling.
But what is he holding on to? He looks like he's just stuck up there. Like a wall walker, like a wacky, whatever those things are.
Power of his will. Yeah.
It's his hatred of injustice.
So he's so fucking enraged that he's just like a magnet on the ceiling.
Spider-Man, yeah.
So Samuel's heavy charges at Ricky. He ends up getting the top half of his head punched off for his trouble.
It's great.
Yep. Trapped in the cell with Ricky now, Cyclops gets punched in the face so hard that he loses his other eye, and then Ricky shoves him out into the hall in time to see Rice Guy die in his arms. Cyclops breaks free, runs down the hall, but ends up trapped there by the inmates who stab him in the neck with a bottle, and then they chop his other arm off. And then the prison riot cops arrive.
I believe, and this is when he does this with a pickaxe. And again, don't give prisoners pickaxes.
Yeah, why do they have all of these
the first
dangerous?
Thing they're gonna
need that for the poppy business.
They're gonna kill another prisoner with. I don't know much about prisoners, but I know that.
Ricky shows up, punches one of the
they
guards.
They want each other's boys.
That's true.
How else are you gonna get him? Ricky shows up, punches through one of the guards' chests, and then leads the riot out into the prison. Elsewhere, the warden is inspecting the kitchen, which has what you might call Chekhov's industrial meat grinder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does, baby. The minute I saw that, I was like, fuck yeah, it does.
There's only one reason why they're in this room.
I know, you are on site. You're like, you could fit a whole man in there. Mm-hmm. So it's, large enough to accommodate an entire human being if you wanted to. As a matter of fact, the guy polishing the meat grinder talks some shit, and the warden grinds his arm off in it, implying that he's going to feed it to the inmates.
And I will say, this is a lot more meat than you would get from just a half an arm.
I know.
It's a good 7 pounds.
It's probably like both legs rather than just an arm.
Rump roost. Yeah.
So Ricky throws Cyclops through a brick wall and confronts the warden, who pulls his gun and shoots Cyclops with it. The bullet causes him to inflate and then explode all over everyone.
Very confusing.
Which he explains is because it's an elephant gun, so it's all totally made sense.
And I have to wonder, did they not understand why it's called an elephant gun?
No, probably not. Not a lot of guns in China.
It makes you blow up.
Paid more attention to Tremors.
Yep. Rogan and Brandon show up too. Ricky grabs one of Brandon's darts and he kicks him through a brick wall. Rogan tries to grind up one of the inmates. Ricky goes at him too, and they fight a little while the warden just sort of smokes a cigar and watches. And then everybody escapes out some kitchen dumbwaiters while Ricky and Rogan fight.
Yeah, it's a real Scooby-Doo moment.
Right. They're pretty evenly matched until Ricky deflects one of his kicks, throws him into a tank of liquid nitrogen. Then he breaks off Rogan's leg while they beg for their life, and he backs off. So Brandon
I like how you're just instinctively saying they.
Yeah.
Respectful of pronouns here on Bring Me the End. We might break your leg off after we drench you in rich liquid nitrogen, but we would never misgender you.
Wouldn't think of it.
Yeah, you see that?
New generation of video store nerds.
Not that hard.
So Brandon goes to escape out of one of the dumbwaiters, but the warden shoots him in the ass, also causing him to explode.
That's a very undignified way to die.
It's so terrible.
Yeah.
Down to just the warden and Ricky, they square up to fight, but the warden has a secret.
Because the warden says, the warden of any prison has to be the very best at Kung Fu. And I thought,
that's quite a qualifier.
I mean, I don't know.
That would be great.
That seems just like only one. There's only one of those.
So I see that you worked at Sing Sing for 10 years, the warden over there. How's your Kung Fu?
It's pretty good.
Okay, I'm going to have you fight Tarzan over here.
Oh, gosh, dang it. All right, let me get my white starch shirt off because I'm going to turn into a big Frankenstein to get him.
I'm Tarzan. I'm also here. I'm also in the movie. Hello.
Hey, it's me, Tarzan. I know I died in an earlier scene, but it's my Force Ghost. I'm just here to say, don't forget to check out Tarzan merchandise wherever you get your Tarzan figurines.
So
I am personally invested.
Tarzan is decidedly not Chinese anymore.
No. Hey, Dave, would you prefer I have done a Chinese accent just now? Because I thought you liked having a podcast. Eli wasn't so much on the show as he was the iceberg to their Titanic.
So yeah, anyways, Ricky and the warden fight. He kicks him into a wall, and then he starts to transform, like shaking and laughing. The warden grows into a gigantic monster dude and starts fucking Ricky's shit up. Ricky's attacks do nothing, and then the warden reveals that his kung fu is the same qigong as Ricky's. But then Ricky figures it out, lifts the warden up, throwing him into the meat grinder, which turns the warden literally into hamburger as they continue to fight, blood spraying everywhere.
And I mean, the amount of meat that is filling up in this grinder, this is like 12 people.
Yeah.
It's like an Olympic pool's worth of.
It's a generous serving of warden at this point.
And the warden, he has transformed. As I said earlier, there's like moments where he punches the guy's stomach open and you're like, oh, that looks gross and real. And then you have the
it's like they ran out of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fake head of the warden, which is basically paper mache.
It's very that it's the money for nothing video with the Momenchance puppets. And you're like, this doesn't even look human.
Yeah. Yep. So, Ricky, he throws him in, they fight. He's like laughing as he's getting ground up and they continue to punch each other. Finally, Ricky grinds him down just to his head. He takes the severed head out into the yard where the guards fight the inmates. Ricky raises the head up and throws it against the wall and then charges at the prison wall, punching it so hard that his fist turns into a fireball. It leaves a hole. He declares them all free men, and then he stoically walks out.
He does. He's like, hey, guys, stop fighting. And he just shows them a head. Like, is that the symbol to stop fighting?
I feel like that's a cue for more fighting. This is a very confusing message.
I'm not sure what to make of that.
All right. Roll credits, y'all.
Wow.
What a fucking journey.
Wow.
Yep. It's a movie so gory that you feel like you get a little on you.
I think, though, and again, the reviews that I read earlier, they're from 2002. A lot of pearl clutching.
2002, like, fucking come on, you guys. Grow the fuck up. Scream has been out by this point.
Yeah, like there's not, it's the violence in this is so over the top that it's hard to be offended by it because it's so goofy.
It's unbelievably fucking silly. Like, it's not realistic at all. You know, it makes no attempt to be realistic. Our main character is literally unstoppable.
Yeah.
Just good, clean
everybody
fun.
have fun with it,
where
you know?
it's going to end.
It's good, clean fun.
Just take yourself so seriously.
Don't show it to a kid, but it's good, clean fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I do not make a habit of watching this one terribly often, but I do, it's extremely fun. I love this movie so fucking much. It is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, and God bless him for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Enough said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any more
yeah.
thoughts. It's just like, would I watch it again? Yeah, maybe. Not anytime soon.
Oh, I will be showing this movie to several people. And I'm not kidding. I may use the crucifix as an excuse to put it on God Awful Movies.
You got to have us on if you do that.
Absolutely. Yes, you already done the grunt work.
Right. So,
and so that Dave can feel truly free to talk about coming into a Skittles bag.
Look, I know a lot more about pornography than most people do, so...
That's right. You rated Bryan's collection.
No, we're gonna, we'll do it. We'll do it so bad. You bring that attitude, Noah will have no choice but to put the true raw Eli on the show.
That's true. Yeah.
So, Eli, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, guys, thanks so much for having me.
I am so pleased that I got to deliver this movie to you and like open your eyes to it.
What a gift. What a gift indeed. Thank you again so much.
Yeah. So what do you got? Do your thing. Plug all your pluggables. What do you got going on?
Yeah, well, look, if you like bad movies and you want some ones that I promise you hadn't seen, come on over to God Awful Movies where we review the worst that Christian cinema has to offer. We got some ones you heard of, like God's Not Dead and Saving Christmas, but we've also got some ones that you definitely have not. Children using miracles to heal their severed legs. We've got cult movies by literal cults over in God Awful Movies. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
Listener, you will be amazed at how many Christian movies are made in the state of Arizona.
It's a lot.
Yep.
It's a lot.
Yeah, God Awful Movies is one of my favorites. I'm pretty safe in saying I think it's one of Dave's favorites as well.
Yeah,
and
I'm a big fan.
We enjoy it. We're big fans. It's a fucking riot. So that being said, what is our next movie?
Well, in 1 week, Bring Me the Axe, as you've said, we will be back talking about Italy's obsession with New Orleans for some reason, with
some
Roberto
reason.
Bava's Bananas official debut, Macabre. And then in 2 weeks, 99-cent rental, coming back with Walter Hill's big 1980s swing and a miss, Streets of Fire.
Oh, Streets of Fire.
Yep. God, I fucking love it. I love Walter Hill so fucking much. I cannot wait to find out exactly what he was thinking when he made that one.
Right. Whose fault this was besides Walter Hill's?
Because the studio likes to blame the fact that like it came out the same day as Ghostbusters and like Gremlins had come out like a week before. They're like, hey, how are we supposed to fight with those movies? But
well, you start by not making a weird musical.
right. So yeah, be back next week for it's gonna be a real treat. I don't know how we're going to talk about that one as we take on Lamberto Bava's Macabre, and then be back in 2 for us just having the time of our lives talking about Jim Steinman and the Blasters with Streets of Fire.